On August 3, 1963, 3 miners located in Sheppton, Pennsylvania descended nearly 400 feet into a privately owned mine. The miners' names were Dave Fellin, 58, Henry Throne, 28, and Louis Bova, 54. They were essentially loading coal into mine carts, and as time went on, the operator at the top noticed that he stopped receiving communication from them. He already suspected that they were caved in and called for the emergency crew, which included 100 miners and technicians. From within the ground, the men heard the rescuers attempting to chip the rocks, and before they had any time to move away, one of the miners, Bova, unfortunately jumped to the wrong side and his body became one with the rocks and dust. That would be the last time anyone sees or hears of him. For the remaining 2 miners, Fellin and Throne, the ordeal persisted for nearly 2 weeks, where they remained trapped in a small cavern that was 2 feet wide and 10 feet long. Although the 2 were unharmed, their attempts at survival were running sparse. They drank foul mine water, and to keep warm they used each other's bodies for heat. The rescuers above were starting to get hopeless in finding them when all of a sudden they drilled a 6-inch borehole into the ground. Through the hole, one of the rescue team members threw a light and a microphone. When he yelled at them, "Look for the light!" he heard their voices and announced to the rest of the team that they were alive. That was the first indication that the miners were still alive, and also their first contact with the outside world. The incident had prompted billionaire Howard Hughes to provide a drill that was able to make a larger hole, and after 14 days, they were finally pulled out from underground and immediately sent to the hospital. While being trapped underground in such a small space was near fatal and detrimental enough, the mental toll it took on these 2 men was quite enormous. One such phenomena miners can face is decompression psychosis, and one of the most prominent symptoms that surround this diagnosis is hallucinations. Fellin, who feared that he was losing his sanity, requested to be sent to a psychiatrist. The U.S. Navy psychiatrists were called upon to interview both men as their case was extreme due to being buried alive whilst facing extreme sensory deprivation and stress. Although this was the case, all the psychiatrists stated that they did not find any indication of any mental illnesses. The media, however, went into a frenzy after the first press conference, and people started to create rumors about the men being insane. Insulted by how they were being portrayed, both men declined to answer further questions. That changed, however, after the first initial anniversary of the incident, and both men finally agreed to speak to a nearby radio station to document what they experienced in this parallel reality. Within the first 24 hours inside the cavern, Fellin recounted how he saw an apparition, and hanging on the cavern wall was a shining gold cross. He immediately thought that he was hallucinating and did not mention it to Throne. There was no need to, as Throne himself began to see the same exact figure and cross, even mentioning it out loud. Both men described the smiling man apparition as looking like Pope John XXIII, who actually died 3 weeks earlier in Rome. Knowing that this was not an individual thing, the 2 miners used this as a meaning of hope and took comfort in this. They claimed that the Pope stayed with them until the final day they were rescued. Intrigued by this account, both Fellin and Throne were interviewed separately by the radio host and asked to draw what they saw. The crosses the men made looked slightly different. They claimed that the Pope was not the only one to meet them, and that all types of characters came in contact with them. Such apparitions were seen towards the end of the funnel, and were described as linemen that arrived in chariot-like vehicles. While Throne thought they were just normal rescuers because of the funnel-shaped lights on their foreheads, he became dubious when he called out to them to bring lights, and they just seemingly vanished. Perhaps the most striking account of theirs was the fact that the 2 even had light. Critics claimed that just could not have been the case, but the miners insisted that they were not imagining light because they were able to prop up the ceiling using timbers, a process that definitely required light according to them. There was perhaps one major instance where the pair truly felt scared. It involved the manifestation of a white marble staircase. Figures were seen going up these stairs, and 2 double doors either remained closed for some individuals or opened for others. Throne was compelled to just climb up these stairs as well, but was stopped by Fellin, who told him that accessing the staircase could lead to their deaths. Throne then grabbed a hammer, which he intended to use to destroy it, but as soon as he made the attempt, the entire structure vanished, and he injured his hand in the process. Before the first rescue hole was drilled on the 5th first day, Fellin started to doubt that they would make it out alive, until an amazing vision appeared before him that made him confident that they were going to survive. In this particular incident, 3 men came up to him holding plaques that had names on it. Fellin directly asked them if they could verify if either of their names were on it, and when they said no, he took this as a good sign. In the days after the communication hole was drilled, Fellin and Throne had out-of-body experiences, saw dead relatives, and visioned gardens that they could see for miles. While there will always be critics out there who would be skeptical of their accounts, we all don't understand the circumstances that these 2 men went through. Their situation was reminiscent of being buried alive for nearly 2 weeks. Now, did they access another alternative reality, or were they just hallucinating while exhibiting symptoms of mental illnesses associated with intense stress? While the decompression anxiety disorder was disputed by psychiatrists, another noteworthy mental disorder to point to is something known as folie à deux, which is a syndrome discovered in the 19th century that explains how hallucinations and delusional beliefs are transmitted between people who have a little contact with the rest of the world. Reading through the causes of this disorder, it seems very fitting in their case because the 2 leading factors are stress and social isolation. But on the other hand, the fact that they didn't entirely agree on one another's descriptions makes me think that they did, at least individually, see unexplainable visions and apparitions. There were shared visions such as the white staircase, the Pope, the cross, but also discrepancies between colors and images. What do you guys think about their accounts? Do you believe that they indeed entered a realm of another fraction of the universe, or did some type of psychosis occur here? Some people might even believe that the 2 made it up in hopes of getting fame. I personally do not think that these men had greedy or malicious intentions, especially surviving through a near-fatal incident such as that. I think, if anything, they were just appreciating that they were alive and merely sharing what they went through together. I really want to read your thoughts and comments regarding this intriguing case, so feel free to share them. Also, in the description section below, I linked my social media so we could connect there as well. As always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting content.